Good morning and welcome back to Miniature Monday here on Gaming with ADHD, where today we are going to continue our look at the Cyberpunk Red Combat Zone game. And today we're going to take a look at the Tiger Claw gang and look at those miniatures, how well they come out. Basically, when I get a new set of miniatures, once I've assembled it, I like to do a review talking about the build process and how I think the miniatures came out, how they hold up, any problems or quirks that I had trying to get the models put together. So, this is one of the two factions that come in the Cyberpunk Red Combat Zone starter set. They will be releasing these as their own standalone gang later on, but I'll be honest, I do not know exactly when that is coming out. Now, these miniatures are produced in, I believe, the COcast method, but it could be something different. It is definitely a thermoplastic. Overall, it's fairly easy to work with, but there are some quirks, and we'll take a look at those as we look at the individual miniatures. Now, there are 6 miniatures provided with the Tiger Claw gang out of the starter set, so let's go ahead and take a look at those. But before we do make sure you're subscribed to the channel. I try to put out a few videos each week covering all sorts of tabletop gaming content, whether it's miniatures, board games, role-playing games, or anything in between. I'd love for you to come along and see what we have to share. In addition, down in the description, there are links to our social media on Facebook and Twitter, and also to Amazon and DriveThruRPG with a couple of affiliate links in case you want to support the channel. So, that all out of the way, let's take a look at the miniatures. All right, now first up we have the Ooon. This is the leader miniature for the Tiger Claws. It is a 3-part miniature. You get the head, which as I'm looking at, there's some extra flashing that I should have cleaned off from, I'm guessing they're probably chopsticks in her hair. I mean, there's something that she's going to stab you with, let's be honest. Then also the gun in her left arm also is a separate piece. Overall, she was not difficult to put together. The left arm, however, it looked like it was supposed to be keyed, but there was some additional plastic that basically made it not work. So essentially, I drilled out the hole, so it was just a round hole at that point, and trimmed up the arm a little bit and just stuck it in. So I didn't get to take advantage of any keying. That is one thing that I have noticeably missed with the Combat Zone miniatures, is that while a lot of plastics usually do some kind of keying to make sure that you get the right piece in the right place, I have not seen any of that on these miniatures. It would be much more helpful if they provided that. Unfortunately, those are design decisions that I don't get to make. The mold lines on this model aren't great, but they're not the worst. One reason that you will still see mold lines on these is I wanted you, I'm going to admit I'm a little lazy as far as cleaning up mold lines, but also I wanted you to at least see the model as pretty much from what you're going to get with a once you open the box. The models themselves are good. I like the design, I like the level of detail, but things like the mold lines can be a little bit difficult because with the type of plastic that it's made, you can't really use a file. There's a lot of details and curves that make scrapers or hobby knives difficult to get in and clean those mold lines up. So definitely something to keep in mind. I can be pretty forgiving with it just because, again, a little lazy as far as that cleanup process is concerned. But as long as you get me a mostly decent model, I'll be okay with it. Overall, I like how the model came out. She definitely looks good, looks mean, has the giant sword and everything, and is definitely going to be fun to paint up. So this is the Ooon. All right, now we move on to the Kyodi. It's a two-part model. You get the head and the body. The sword, everything is cast as one single piece. You don't have to worry about trying to assemble those. And overall, this one came out pretty well. One thing that I have noticed with the Cyberpunk miniatures, the hands are always kind of exaggerated, which is sort of what these look like. But overall, it still looks good. Here on the back, you can see the detail on the jacket. So especially with stuff like washes, that's going to come out really nice because it'll just get into those grooves and darken up real easy. As far as the mold lines, you can see them on this model, but they're not too bad, so not a whole lot of cleanup that you have to worry about there. But overall, it's a good model for a melee character, and yeah, there's that. I guess actually one thing I should explain. All of the models that I'm using are on custom 3D printed bases. I don't remember where I purchased the STL files, but the one thing to keep in mind is that these are 1-inch bases. The official models from Monster Fight Club are actually about 27 millimeters, which is just slightly more than 1 inch. So do keep in mind that there is a little bit of difference there. Personally, I opted not to replace those, but that's mostly because I plan on playing at home with other friends, and I got a package that essentially has all of the factions, and so, you know, they're all based the exact same way. So I don't have to worry about, differences in how the game is going to play, because of the base. So do keep that in mind. I just used the 3D printed ones just to help make basing a little bit easier. But this is the Kyodi. Next up, we've got Onison. This is a ranged model for the Tiger Claws. And again, two parts, the head and the body. The body is all cast in one piece. And as you can see, you still get a lot of detail. This is probably the most basic of the models in this particular faction, but still looks good. This one actually is a little bit better as far as the hands are concerned. Nothing is too exaggerated, but overall it's a decent looking model. So let her finish turning around a little bit more, and there's Onison. All right, now we've got the Ronin Assassin. This one had a couple of issues. So the arms are separate, and so is the head. So it's a 4-part model. They are designed to be crossed over the chest, as you see here. And the head was a bit difficult. One thing I have noticed, a lot of the neck pegs are either a little large or they're too long, things like that. So do make sure that you are dry fitting and testing, especially the heads, before you're putting everything together. The arms are usually okay because they're much larger pegs and much larger holes to put together, but the heads themselves are where I've usually saw most of the problems. Overall, I think he comes together well as a model, so I'm not too worried about it. It is just something that you should keep in mind. Not a whole lot of issues as far as mold lines with this model either, so that was good. And of course, I say that as I now see a giant mold line going down his right side, but that one I think will be easy enough to blend into the folds of the clothing. But otherwise, it's a decent sculpt. I actually kind of like the hood over the gas mask look. And there we go. That's our Ronin Assassin. All right, now we have the Ronin Sniper. So obviously it is a sniper rifle. Basically, you've got 3 parts, the head, the rifle, and the body. A little bit of mold line on this one. It's not too bad. The rifle is decently sized. I mean, it's a sniper rifle. It's going to be large, but it all comes together fairly well. The rifle, actually, the rifle wasn't the biggest problem. The head is where I ran into the biggest issue with the neck peg. I tried rotating the head a little bit so it was looking more the direction of the rifle, but I could not get it to stay in. It kept, basically gravity kept pulling it out. So I eventually just moved it forward. That gave it enough, friction to stay in place and let the glue cure. I also say that having used, cyanoacrylate or super glue accelerant, and that was just difficult with this guy. Overall, not too bad, just a little bit of frustration trying to get that together. But other than that, I like the look of the model. I'm always a big fan of sniper rifle models, so I'm gonna have some fun putting some paint to this one. So this is the Ronin sniper. All right, now last up we have the specialist, let me look at the card, Wakaa, the company man. Now this one is definitely my least favorite of the Tiger Claws. Between the mold lines, honestly, that was the least frustrating. The head looks extremely small compared to the body. There's a lot of things that are out of proportion. The arms look absolutely massive. The gun and the sword are okay, but again, you combine that with the hands, with the arms. This guy just kind of looks out of place. And I honestly don't like it. I mean, I'll paint it up. It'll be part of the crew. But he is a little bit of a downer. I really will admit that. Overall, I haven't been too upset or too disappointed with most of the sculpts. But just the way that this guy looks, with the way that the arms are out of place, I just don't like it. It is definitely difficult. The arms themselves, the glue did take a little while to set up, but I don't think that matters when you consider the fact that it looks like he's got a shrunken head on his shoulders. So, yeah, this one is absolutely disappointing. Not really a fan, but I'll put up with it. I'm definitely one that's pretty forgiving. But I'm not going to have any issues if it comes to replacing this model in the gang and playing with something else. So that is Wakaa. Overall, I do have to admit, I like the models, with the exception of Wakaa. But overall, I think they did very well. They capture that theme of let's be honest, a 1990s Japanese street gang, at least as would be represented in Cyberpunk or Shadowrun or some other, games, some other similar setting. The use of katanas everywhere, the Asian influences, they do look really good. Overall, it'll be fine getting them painted up, but of the two factions so far for the starter set, I would have to say I'd probably go with Maelstrom if it was just on looks alone. But other than that, like I said, this will be coming out as a standalone faction as well, so you can purchase it without having to purchase the starter set. I just don't know when that is going to release. But otherwise, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget about all of our links. Give the video a like, all that kind of stuff. But other than that, thank you for watching, and we'll talk to you next time.